Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to work on a Sachs Quarz rear derailleur. This is the last version that was made by Sachs, so it's mostly made from aluminium and certain parts are made from titanium, specifically the bolts. Now you might be wondering why this is stamped M9000 by Mars and not Sachs. The reason for that is when Sram bought Sachs, the equipment from probably the factory was sold to a company, a French company, that tried to revive some old Sachs derailleurs. I think it was named INS or IRS. I'll check it up and I'll write the details below. And so for around about maybe a year or 2 years of production, there's not a lot of information about this. They remade Sachs Quarz rear derailleurs and I think even front derailleurs. I've only seen these once in a catalogue, and that's a Stronglight catalogue that you can actually find on Disraeli keys. So this is around about the year 2000. I think it's 1, 2, maybe 3. So we're going to dismantle this. I've never dismantled it before. I've used it though a few times. It's a really nice derailleur. It's one of my favourite derailleurs, I'd say, out of the bunch. So let's begin. So we're going to start off by removing the small parts such as the barrel adjuster and the, called again, the anchor bolt for the cable. I'm going to take this off. I don't know if that comes off, it does. Let's take off these jockey wheels. You'll see that these jockey wheels, by the way, are the old, they're still stamped as Sachs, I believe. So using a number 3. Oh, it's tight. Got it. Obviously never been removed. Let's take that off. Let's remove this by just turning that. That's going to remove the bolt from here, so we don't need to undo it from that side. There. You'll notice here it's still stamped made in France. The last French derailleur ever made, probably. Remove those limit screws. So we're going to begin on the top knuckle, and we're going to remove we want to take off the bolt and the spring that's no downside. So there's a clip here, just like every other derailleur mostly, and we're going to remove the clip. No. Okay then, so what we're going to try and do then is we're going to see if we can push this bolt through. Yeah, and now it's unclipped itself. Let's have a look what's inside. Okay, very nice. So inside here, it's a little bit more precise than Shimano. You have that kind of ridge that's going down into the radar. There's actually a seal right there. So obviously the grease in here is still fresh as I didn't use it enormously. Take out the hanger bolt. So on the other side there's a seal. I'm going to just leave mine. Take that out. Right, so now we're going to work on the next part, so the bottom knuckle. There's a stopper here that we need to unscrew, so I'm going to tension this to get access to it. Okay, so I removed the screw from here, and now that's going to detension everything. So about an hour later, this part here I cannot remove. I've tried with a pin tool. In fact, I've kind of little damaged it slightly. I cannot take this part off. I don't even know if it's possible to remove. Yeah, I'm a little bit stuck on this. The only tool that I can think of that I haven't tried is using one of these crank bolt removal tools. You just I can break that part in the middle here and then put it in, but it's going to be really annoying if I break this and then after it's just not going to work anyway, and then if I also damage the threading I can't take that off or put it back on after, and then it's completely finished, this derailleur. You know what, I decided to destroy this tool, doesn't matter, I'll buy another one. And maybe a new derailleur as well, we're going to find out. So let's try and remove this and see what happens. I'm excited now. It's in the name of science, so you know, you've got to do this. It is coming off. Yes, okay, got it off. Is the threading destroyed? I don't think so. Okay, so we're going to leave that on the side. So underneath that there's this part. I'm going to try and take that off. I'm going to give up on this. I've been attempting to remove this. I think this plate that seems to be on the top needs to be unscrewed, and I can see closely there's some sort of glue that's just stopping it from undoing itself, and I cannot figure out a way of catching this without damaging it. So I'm going to be giving up on that. Little interesting fact that you can see here with the light. Inside the jockey wheel there's some pressed in bearings probably. And you can see it's written Singapore 626D NMB. So although this is a Sachs, they're using the bearings from somewhere else. Okay, so I've given everything a clean, so we're going to now put everything back together again. I'm going to add some grease onto these parts right here, and that should be good. So I've cleaned also the interior of the jockey wheels, and I've added on some Vaseline oil in between to make them a little bit more slippery, and then I can put this back into its box. So first thing we're going to do is work on this top knuckle. So we're going to put the spring back in. It looks fairly symmetrical looking at it. So we're going to push that in. There's a hole on the other side. We slot that in. I'm going to now push the hanger bolt through. And then we're going to take this part, and there's a hole inside that, and that'll be for the other tip of the spring. Okay, that should be in. Right, so once you've done that, get a plier ready. We're going to get a number 2.5 Allen key wrench to facilitate the tensioning of the spring. So I'm going to push this down first, and then using the Allen key we're going to aim for the stopper. Looks like I've got it. Yeah, I've got it. And now I'm just going to hold that for a second. Okay, now grab the clip that goes underneath here. We're going to install the bolt that's acting as the stopper back into the hole here. So it's much easier to use something to hold this open while you're doing this. Nice and tight. We can now put the jockey wheels back in place. I would say that the one with the sealed bearings is going to go on towards the top of the derailleur. You can just hold this bolt down while you tighten up the back of the jockey wheel cage, kind of keep it in place. We can now put that cable tensioner back in. Let's put those limit screws. And lastly, okay, great. So a little bit disappointed about removing this part. Maybe I'm just too used to, I don't know, working on Shimano parts, which are quite actually easily accessible compared to other derailleurs of this period. Obviously, when you're looking at this in context of, I don't know, a period of 20 years of mountain biking derailleurs, this derailleur is really nice. But at the time when this was released, I think there was already XT M7550 and the XTR derailleur, and then there was Sram that were also making derailleurs, which were somewhat ahead of this one at least. And when you look at the maximum teeth that this can handle, it's obviously not a very large cassette, not really good for mountain biking, which limits its audience, as this was a mountain bike derailleur. At least that's what it was marketed for. So anyway, thank you for listening, and hopefully this helped you work on your Sachs Quarz or Mars derailleur. Until next time.